The hell are you looking at? Jingle balls. Jingle balls. It's
It's
Christmas
Christmas
time in the
time in the
shitty.
shitty. One, two,
Nice.
three, four.
These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that pops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners.
Yum, yum.
Oscar Wieners.
Welcome to Oscar Wieners. Happy New Year, almost. Depending on when this comes
Pretty
out.
close. Yeah, we'll see.
I am Father O'Sullivan. Hi,
Oh.
tati, tatai.
It's hi, Mother O'Malley.
Top of the morning to ya. You want a little bit of brandy in your coffee?
All right, now that's bigotry. That is bigotry.
My people, I can say whatever I want.
You said that about the Italians.
Yeah, well, I could do both.
All right.
No, I'm Michael. He's Ander. This is a show where every week we pick a Best Picture winner at random, and we try to figure out if it's Best Picture.
Worthy.
And this week we are talking about the 1945 Best Picture winner, Going My Way.
Nothing eventful going on during this year, right? 1945?
Yeah, 1940. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's pretty
Kind
chill.
of a down year. Yeah.
Yeah. No world wars ending. No Hitler's falling. No Mussolini's being strung up in the town square.
Oh, Mussolini. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
We're talking about Going My Way, directed by Leo McCarey.
Somehow.
How to sum up this movie? Okay. There's like 15 different subplots, which we can get into.
It's basically a collection of it's not very plotty. It's just a few different stories that we're presented with.
Yeah. But the main kind of the inciting incident is Father Father Charles Chuck O'Malley, played by Bing Crosby.
Big Bang.
He comes to New York City to take over the church. What church is it? It's like
St. Dominic.
St. Dominic's. He comes over to help out this church, St. Dominic's, that is they're in debt. There's like a
I think attendance problems as well. Father O'Malley's Bing Crosby's Father O'Malley's basically brought in as like a hitman, right? He's like a church going assassin. He's brought in by the bishop to help the attendance rates to restore the church to its glory.
Absolutely.
He's like, go fix this thing, basically.
Yeah. So the bishop sends Father O'Malley, the current head father at the current main priest at St. Dominic's is Father Fitzgibbons, played by Barry Fitzgerald, who is this old, decrepit. He has an Irish lilt.
Yeah.
Father Fitzgibbon is kind of like, he's a little old-fashioned. He doesn't totally connect with the youth. And Father O'Malley's like, we got to fix that.
Yeah.
And that's like the basic setup. And then it's just like,
Stuff happens.
Stuff happens, which we'll talk about. First, I want to ask you, Ander, what did you expect going into this movie? It says this is supposed to be a musical. I would not call this movie a musical.
And thank goodness for that, because that was my first impression, is that we're going to this thing, it's going to be a full-on musical. And as much as I love the voice of Bing Crosby, I'm a notorious non-musical fan on this show. We've reviewed a few in the past, and frankly, there wasn't really one that appealed to me. So this, I was rather nonplussed at learning this was going to be a musical, but it really isn't. There are some musical set pieces, but they're actually enjoyable because they're peppered in and they're not the main thrust of the film. You do get to hear Bing Crosby's voice. You get to hear the voice of a bunch of ruffian young teens, if that is something that's up your alley.
Matter. We don't want to be in no choir. That's how one of them sounds.
Basically, the neighborhood is somehow run by a gang of twerps in striped shirts.
Yeah, what the fuck's his name? What's that little fucking Tony Scapone?
Tony Scapone and his pal Herman, who I think is Alfalfa in The Little Rascals.
Holy shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Carl Switzer plays Herman Langerhank. And let me tell you, Tony slaps the shit out of Herman in one scene.
Oh, it's so good. Maybe the best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
They just meet in the courtyard, and Herman does not want to be part of, like, Father O'Malley wants to turn these boys into a choir, pretty much. So he takes them all to a baseball game somehow with the no funds that they have. And then Herman's like, I don't want to be in cahoots and be a bunch of altar boys. And then Tony is like, what do you talk about? What do you talk about? It's fine. We'll go sing. We're going to sing for a little bit. We'll sing with Father O'Malley. No big deal. It's no big deal. Don't worry about it. He's just slapping the shit out of him.
He does it for like a minute, like of just like, slaps him for like 5 seconds, pauses, then keeps slapping him. It's crazy.
Good. There's some good physical comedy in this film. When they're playing baseball and Father O'Malley just gets to the neighborhood and there's some kids playing baseball, and this little kid is like, Father, could you just play right field for me? I gotta go in my house real quick. And he's like, all right, sure, I'll stand in. And then the second he does, some kid just lobs one out to right field, and it just comes screaming into frame. The baseball just shatters a window. It was pretty fun to watch. It was just like a good comedy beat.
That scene's really funny too, because so gets to town, baseball goes to the window. He's like, shit. All the kids just scram.
And he's got to confront that atheist.
Yeah. The guy comes out, he has the baseball, he's like, you broke my window. And he's like, yeah, I'm so sorry about that. We'll fix that. He's like, my window is broke. And he like has the ball, and Father O'Malley's like, can I have it back? And he's like, yeah, I'll give it to you. And he throws it across the street, and it goes into a truck. And then Father O'Malley's like, man, you even throw like an atheist. I was like,
pretty good zing.
Pretty good line.
I was like, yeah. Me who doesn't believe in God, I was like, yeah, fuck you. God rules. Get fucking dunked on, idiot.
I kind of love this movie's like. This movie is like, I think somebody I follow on Letterboxd, their review was like, this. It's a really good movie about a really good movie that's like spiritual without being preachy, and I do feel like this movie like makes me be like, oh yeah, God and like being religious can be like fun and not just like a fucking hellish, fucking like puritanical like lifestyle, you know?
Yeah, the movie is basically like your cool camp counselor.
100%. That's who Father O'Malley is. 100%.
Yeah. And it's a bit of a double-edged sword because it's like, yeah, religion can be, it's saying like it could be a little bit jovial, and Father O'Malley's trying to inject that into his community. But it's also arguing that I guess like the Catholic Church is the pinnacle of morality in this little society.
Yeah,
that's a bit outlandish.
Yeah.
But it's a nice film. I actually really enjoyed it. Maybe it's just because it's the holiday season and I was in the spirit of things, but it's a lot of like, maybe like some might argue over saccharine, but it's a very positive movie that doesn't necessarily like question any issues or deal with anything too serious. It's just a nice movie to sit down and watch. And I think I was just really in the mood for that, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I also like this movie. I don't think it's like great or anything. But yeah, it's really like competent. I think it's a little too long. I think this movie could be like
Maybe.
25 minutes shorter.
Yeah.
But I even like how like all the characters who, all the characters outside of the church, like the town ruffians who are, I guess, the mayors collectively of New York
There's no
City.
real mayor. New York doesn't have a competent mayor.
Yeah. Uh, and then also is it Carol? Yeah,
It
it's
is Carol, yeah.
Carol. She eventually shacks up with Ted Haynes Jr., who's the son of like the
He's a loan
collector
guy.
or whatever.
Yeah,
The
there's a
church.
local loan business run by this father and son. And the church basically is kind of everybody in the neighborhood, it seems like, is in deep with the loan company. And it's like everyone's getting evicted. Mrs. Quint is like, I'm getting evicted. They're kind of a part of the church's financial troubles.
Yeah. So eventually, and Ted Haynes Jr. Ted Haynes Jr. is he's more sympathetic. He's sort of like he sort of understands that his father needs to do stuff or whatever. Like obviously he like has his own job or whatever, but like Junior is sort of like he's like, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't know why dad is always having to go around collecting people's rent and shit.
Yeah, he's the cool, laid back loan shark.
Yeah. So he shacks up with Carol, who's like this like drifter who comes to town. She's 18, she ran away from home. She wants to be a singer. But I was gonna say, like, I like and they sort of like get together very quickly, and like it seems like Father O'Malley has problems with that, but like doesn't say. But I just like that all the characters in this outside of the church, like that Father O'Malley comes into contact with, like it's kind of a movie about like accepting people where they are, like understanding, like, listen, not everybody's like a fucking 100% upstanding citizen. People, some people steal a turkey. Some
Yeah.
people maybe probably had sex out of wedlock,
Yeah.
which I know was like a fucking huge sin in the 40s or whatever. But like, it's like they're just people though. They're still capable of like faith and like helping each other and whatever.
I like that many of the characters in the movie are flawed individuals, but they're capable of humanity and charity and things like that. I gotta give a note of sympathy to, and I wouldn't typically do this because the man is a loan shark and a landlord, but I gotta give an iota of sympathy to Ted Sr. Basically shows up to Carol's apartment that she's been, I guess, like leasing illegally. She's just like, she keeps saying like, I'll figure it out. She's 18. She's got this huge New York apartment because Ted basically is just like, yeah, I don't know. I think you're attractive. I'm just going to let you live here in kind of a creepy way. And then the dad shows up and is like, what the fuck is going on here? This woman needs to be evicted. And then fucking his son shows up in a bathrobe and is like, yeah, I've been banging Carol and just kind of letting her live here. And I bought her this piano and it's pretty chill. And the dad's like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is what's been going on? He's like, actually, Pop, we're getting married. He's like, what? You didn't tell me? I haven't seen you in fucking 3 weeks.
That
By the way, I'm also going to war. And then Carol is just like, this is gonna be nice, the three of us, like as a family. And then he's sitting there like, what the fuck is going on?
One of the things I wrote down is like, I think that subplot is fun or whatever. Mm-hmm. I kind of don't know why it's in the movie though.
It doesn't really tie in. It's just, it seems like padding. It seems like whoever plays Carol, obviously she's got a great voice and she sings a couple times. I think that's kind of what they're trying to shoehorn in. Or some romance because Actually, what I think it is that Father O'Malley being a priest, he doesn't really have. He can't get a girl at the end. You know what I mean? I think they needed some sort of romantic aspect.
That's a really good point. Because actually, what I like about Father O'Malley's character in terms of romance is like he also has what's her name, Genevieve, who's like played by. There's an umlaut above the e in her name, Rise. I'm like, is it Reese? How do you? What does the umlaut do? Umlaut do to a sound?
It makes it a long vowel sound. I think it's like a
Reese, Reese. I don't know. Stevens.
what's above an e? I don't know. That's
I'm not German.
I'll say Rize.
Reese Stevens plays Genevieve, and she's like an old. She's kind of like a very kind of pretty famous like Broadway or whatever like singer.
Operatic singer.
Yeah, that's right. It is opera. But she's like an old kind of could have been flame of Father O'Malley
Before he became a priest.
before he became a priest, and then she comes back into his life and whatever like. And I kind of like that there is sort of romantic tension between him and her. But it's
sure.
like, but ultimately he's like, obviously I'm a priest. I'm celibate. I cannot do that. That goes against the creed.
I like that scene too because he goes to see her perform and she's just kind of in her dressing room, so she can't see him yet. And she's just talking about all the letters that he sent her, as she was on this world tour. And she's like, oh, and I love the one that you sent me in Italy. But then I got to Switzerland and there were no more letters. And she's like, what happened? And she walks out and he's wearing like his priest garb.
Collar.
And I could just see like, she was like, oh, I thought we were going to bang, dude. Like, this sucks. And he's like, what are you going to do? I'm a priest.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really. I think that's exactly right. That like back then, it seems like all movies are like, all right, we need a little bit of romance in there, or like we need all these elements in every major movie so that we can guarantee that people will come see it. And like,
Right.
yeah, it's like, all right, we have a priest as the main character. We can't really
They're like,
do a
fuck.
romance.
What do we do with that?
Yeah.
Why does he become a priest? Does he ever say? Like, what are his
No,
motivations?
I thought that was going to be like some kind of big reveal.
I thought so too.
Fitzgibbon asks him, Father O'Malley, why he became a priest, like a couple of times throughout the movie, and then like it's just never answered. Like he always gets distracted by something because he's an old man.
Yeah, and then Father O'Malley would be like, just throw out some sort of limerick or witticism. Why does the sheep get shorn? Why does a man become a priest? I think we're missing that element. I want to know his motivations.
Yeah.
Like, does he just want to help people? I mean, joining the church is a weird way to help people, but I guess it is a way. I don't know. I really just don't know. I would have liked that. I would have liked to shed a little bit of light on the character.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like the movie is like holding back some kind of mystery about him.
Yeah.
That it never actually reveals.
Why do you think?
Why do I think he became a priest?
Yeah.
He was so hot for Genevieve. He's like,
Yeah.
it's all I think about. I need to isolate myself. I need to like meditate.
Yeah, you know what? This woman is constantly on tour. We can't be together. I just gotta cleanse my brain and become a priest about it.
Yeah. The solution
that.
to not having sex right now is to never have sex ever again.
Yes. I've been saying this.
I don't know. I just think this movie kind of has too many subplots.
Maybe it does. It feels a little loose. Because then, like, late in the movie, they introduce him wanting to become a songwriter.
Yeah,
with,
that happens.
That's with, like, 40 minutes left. Like, he's like, by the way,
yeah.
I've been writing the song. You might have not heard of it, but I'd like to play it for you if I can. It's called Going My Way. And then I'm like, my ears perked up. I'm like, oh? The thrust of the film?
And he said because I think he's talking to Genevieve. He's written like he says he's written a lot of songs.
Yeah, it's funny. Like he's not as much as he is the protagonist of the movie. He's like kind of his ideas and motivations are kind of tertiary in the grand scheme of things. Like it's really just a lot of doing things for other characters and what they want.
Do you think "Going My Way" is a good song?
I think it's fine. I kind of agree with. So they pitch it to these like big business radio or record executives at the end of the movie. They're like, "We're gonna pitch your song," and then they get the whole boy choir together, and then they get the his friend Genevieve, who's like obviously like an incredible singer, and then like they had like the whole orchestra perform it, and they play "Going My Way" for these radio record executives, and they're like, "Listen, all this is great and all, but it's just not what the people want. We don't really love it, but keep trying." And they're kind of like, "Ah, shucks. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, I don't know. I want to play some more songs, sure." And then he sings. They call it "The Mule," but I think people might familiarly know as like "Swing on a Star." If you like to swing on a star,
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
very far. Would you rather be a mule? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That song. And then the record executives shoot back into frame. They're like, "What was that? That was gold, and we'll take 100 of them."
I thought that was really silly. They're like, "All right, we're leaving." Then they just like appear from behind a curtain after they sing that song. Like, that's tops.
They do say that stops. It is rather silly to think of them lurking behind that curtain the whole time for no
Was that
real
their
reason.
plan? It's like, let's get him to sing something else that we might
Yeah.
like. Like,
Just say that then.
yeah. I don't know.
It was silly, but it did land for me. Maybe it's just because I have a person like my mom. I remember when I was little, always used to sing that song. I had no idea it was from this movie. I'm sure if I asked her, she'd be like, "What the fuck is Going My Way?" I don't know. I just heard it somewhere. Like it's weird that it was presented as Bing Crosby's character, Father O'Malley, writing this song.
Yeah.
But it makes the church a bunch of money, so
Okay, though.
yeah.
So that's the whole thing. It's like especially towards the end, it's like there's way more of like an urgency to save the church and pay off the church's debts.
Yeah.
So, Father O'Malley is like, maybe this song can make us some money from like the publishing rights or whatever. Then I just find the sudden like plot shifts really weird. So it's like they say they earn all this money to save the church. And I'm a little bit confused about that. It seems like they keep it a secret from Father Fitzgibbon so they can like reveal it as like, hey, but then they never do.
They're really puppeting this man around and playing him. It's a little bit odd. Like they're trying to make it seem like his preaching was so good that the congregation donated a ton of money. Because they just have the record executives come to Sunday Mass and then dump all the money like in the basket as a donation. So Father Fitzgibbon just is deluded into thinking that he's so good at preaching that people just donated. I don't know how much the sum was, probably like $1,000, but back then it's probably like 1.8 billion. I don't know. And the whole, I don't know, they're just like tricking him into thinking he's the man, basically. It's almost sad.
Which we honestly didn't talk about the tension at first between Father O'Malley and Father Fitzgibbon, where like Father Fitzgibbon is like very, he does not want to change at all. Father O'Malley is trying to like, as we said like earlier, like sort of make the church more like, just like interesting to people in the neighborhood. Father Fitzgibbon is he says to what's her name? He says to Carol when she like, because she stops by the church for like a cop brings her to the church for help after like when she's initially enters the movie, because like, oh, she ran away from home, she's 18. Father Fitzgibbon is like, like Father O'Malley is talking to her and like trying to be like, oh, you want to be a singer, and like they start singing together, and it's like kind of a like lovely little scene, and then Father Fitzgibbon is like, she's 18, she should be a wife. Hold out for a man. Get out of my church. And I'm like, and somebody put this fucking old man back to bed. He's cooked.
He's totally cooked. He's like not fit to, like, I understand why the bishop brought in Father O'Malley, because Fitzgibbon is cooked, as you said. He's decrepit, he's old, and he's set in his ways.
But by the end of the movie, he's sort of like, he has sort of a spring in his step. He's sort of
He's re-energized.
Yeah, many times near the end they say like, "Oh, you look like 10 years younger," like just like whatever. But so they earn the money. They do this whole gambit where they make it seem like Father Fitzgibbon is just like a really good preacher, and like they're like, "Holy shit, we have to give you $2,000 for that." Then like the movie just sort of chills out for like 10 minutes. It's like, let's take him, Father O'Malley and this other guy. What's his name? It's like Father O'Malley's friend.
Father O'Dowd.
They're like, let's go golfing.
Yeah.
Let's like, they just like do like a couple of fun things. Then it's like, then like, all of a sudden it's like, Father Fitzgibbon, the church is burning down. And I'm like, what? You just paid off.
It's so jarring.
It's burning down.
It's so. You're right. It is ridiculous.
There's like 18 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah. It's a crazy beat.
I'm like, you had 2 hours.
But oddly enough, to me, like, it actually landed. It didn't feel unearned. It felt so jarring where I was like, maybe it's just because the movie tries so hard to be sentimental. And it does succeed. Where in the sense that, like, I care about these characters. I care about the fucking church for some reason. And when they cut to it in flames, it's a pretty jarring moment, and I think it's impactful.
Yeah, I agree. It did affect me emotionally. I was just sort of like, what is this movie doing? I find the whole movie just like, it takes these like really weird swings where I'm like, wait, how does this character tie into anything? And maybe that's my own like, because like, all right, I like movies that like are sort of more like hangout, sort of like a little bit glacial. Not that the movie's slow, but just sort of like, it's just sort of like chilling. It's letting like these scenes breathe. I like a movie like that. But I guess like I just don't expect a movie from the 40s to be so like that. Like I expect it to be a little bit more rigid in its construction, because I'm just like, oh, they're like, they probably had like a formula and they're like, let's stick to this formula. They're not like, it's it's a more rigid time. They're not like super, I wouldn't think they're super experimental. Weirdly, this movie feels like fucking experimental in how it handles character and plot.
While I was watching it, it's funny that you say that, because I was like, the first comparison that came to my mind was Dazed and Confused. I was like, this is kind of like a wandering, meandering movie.
It's kind of like Dazed and Confused a little bit.
Yeah, at least more so than it is some of its peers, I think, that came out at this time that are more plot heavy.
Yeah. So I guess like by the time the church was burning down, I'm like, this movie's like jazz. It could just like do something all of a sudden. I'm like, okay, I guess so. And it did affect me. I was like, shit. But here's the thing. I think the reason that, like, if I'm thinking about the people writing this movie, like, oh, why do we need the church to burn down? I think they want to give Father Fitzgibbon something that is like the biggest challenge yet, of like, okay, let's actually prove how much he's grown. Whereas like at the beginning of the movie, he might have let this like completely destroy him. He's like, oh no, it'll be okay. We'll like figure it out.
Yeah.
He like now has like a lot more, like he's more connected to the community. He has a lot more like tricks up his sleeve thanks to Father O'Malley. He's like, oh yeah, I can earn the money. We can rebuild this church. Everything will be fine.
He still doesn't do anything, though. Like, it's not, like, the church does bounce back even from the fire, but it's not because of Father Fitzgibbon. It's because of Genevieve. Like, she donates like all of her touring money to the church.
That is true. That's true.
But he does. But I mean, like, yeah, Father Fitzgibbon is like more energized. He's like, I might get up and do a little jig, and like, All right, slow the fuck down.
I do kind of like that this is a movie about money, and it's like Father Fitzgibbon doesn't engage with like money in a pretty
Yeah.
radical, cool way, but that leaves it up to everybody else to be like, all right, we have to
Yeah.
fucking pay the bills.
Yeah, that's yes, 100%.
And then, and then what?
Before you say this, because I know exactly what you're gonna say. When Father Fitzgibbon talked about he's got this dream of returning to Ireland and seeing his mom,
Yeah.
did you think he meant a gravesite?
No, I thought see, that actually makes sense. I was actually, the way he was talking, I was like, oh, I think he actually means his mom, who must be 95 years old. Like, she must be so old because Father Fitzgibbon is like 70.
Oh, I didn't think that at all. I was just like, oh, he wants to go see like where his mom is buried. Like maybe he didn't get a chance to say goodbye, like some closure. Like, yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. Which before we
Yeah.
big reveal, I actually love that scene. Like the where he talks about going back to Ireland and seeing his mom. Like the setup to
nice.
that is really funny too, because it's after Father Fitzgibbon learns that Father O'Malley was sent there by the bishop to actually take over, so Father Fitzgibbon isn't in charge anymore, and he's like, okay, I guess I'll go out into the rain anyway, and I'll bid this church adieu. And then he just like a pouty little baby goes out into the fucking rain. He's like he's like shivering. They're looking all over town for him. Then
What
comes
does he
back.
do during that time?
Like I don't know. We never cut to him. He just sort of he disappears. Then like the cop brings him back, and he's like, "Let me go in alone. This is quite embarrassing that I have to return." And it's like, well, yeah. Why'd you leave? Where'd you think you were
wanted
gonna go?
I wanted him so badly to like run off again and escape.
Yeah. So he comes back. He kind of has like a mild. He doesn't really have a cold, but he's like cold. He's been out in the rain like all night. So he's like up in bed like a little baby. Father O'Malley's like, take your medicine, eat some soup. And he's like, oh, I don't want to.
I am but an old crotchety man.
But then they start talking about his mom, and it's like really, he's like, I have this dream, like you said, of returning to Ireland and seeing my mom and blah blah blah. And he's like, I haven't seen her since I came here to be a priest. Like I haven't seen her in like 45 years. I'm like, Jesus.
Like they didn't have Zoom back then,
Yeah, they didn't have this.
if you could believe it.
So yeah, that's all set up. I thought it was a lovely scene. And then the final moments of the movie, Father O'Malley's leaving. He's like, the bishop wants me to go somewhere else. He's like, there's another crotchety old ass who needs a little kick in it. But as he's leaving, who do they haul in?
Just
Father
rickety.
Father O'Malley. Is he giving? Is he preaching? Is he in front of the church? I can't remember. Was he like in the
Yeah,
basement?
again, they're all like they dupe him again because they're all like, "Oh, we want to hear one of you. Give us a sermon, Father Fitzgibbon. Like we all want to hear it." And all like the local youths are in there, and then they all start singing the lullaby that his mom used to sing to him, which is a very nice moment.
Try la la lee. Yeah, and then his fucking mom comes
Staggering in.
staggering in because she's old.
She has to
thought
be a
Father-
1,000.
If you thought Father Fitzgibbon was old, no, you don't know old until you've seen this lady. She has to be like 95. She has to be like so old. But I could see how if you thought it was a gravesite, this is all of a sudden like really silly to you. I didn't.
I was losing my shit.
I thought it was really like. I thought it was such like a moving scene to end on. And
It was moving, yeah.
yeah, he goes up to her, he like looks at her. And I even thought there was something moving about like the idea of like this really old man looking at his even older mom who has he hadn't seen in so long. I'm like, I don't know, there's something like profound about that.
Because think about the ways that they've changed. They haven't seen pictures of each other. Like,
Yeah.
it's been decades since they last saw each other. And then,
Yeah.
like, I'm sure they're both radically different as people. They've evolved in certain ways. Like, it's almost as comfort. It's equal parts comforting and alienating because you're like, who is this person? You know, I haven't seen them in so long. But then there's the excitement of I get to reconnect with them, and that's really nice.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
For 8 more minutes exactly until they both become dust. What do you think happens after? Like, what do they do with the older Mrs. Fitzgibbon? Like, does she stick around? Does
I
she
take
go
her to the
back
top
to
of the
Ireland?
rock. Probably
You got to see the Brooklyn Bridge. You're gonna love it.
take her sightseeing, Statue of Liberty.
And then what? Go home?
Yeah, bye.
All right, you bag of bones. Pack your shit. Get out.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
But it is really nice, actually.
It is really nice. It's actually a very sweet moment.
Yeah.
This movie, it's funny that you described it like, oh, you feel like you really connected with it, maybe because like it's, we're recording this, it's about to be Christmas. This movie felt like a Christmas movie to me without ever having any Christmas stuff in it.
And listen, I'm going to throw something at you. You tell me if you agree or not.
Okay.
Almost more so than It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh my God. Get the fuck out of here.
All right, maybe not. But there are moments where I was like, maybe this is like equally a Christmas movie. Because there are parts that take place during Christmas and it's a feel-good movie.
I don't know. I don't agree that it's more of a Christmas movie than It's a Wonderful Life, but that's for you to figure out with your God.
Who doesn't exist.
Yeah. Andrew, do you have any other thoughts on Going My Way?
I think this is one of the better old era movies that we've seen. I really like it. I would put it up there with like Mrs. Miniver. I think it's really good.
Okay.
I don't know if I like it better than that movie. They're two very different movies, but maybe it's the holiday season and I just liked it because of that. But it's a nice feel good movie that I think you would enjoy. Go check it out.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I like lots of other movies that we've watched over it, but I do think it is a good movie. I think it's well made. I think it's weird in an interesting way, like in terms of how it's constructed.
Yeah.
I kind of like the curveballs ultimately, and like I don't know. It's performances are all good. It's got, I don't know. It's just a nice movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as an American in Paris is anchored by the feet of Gene Kelly,
By the ass of Gene Kelly.
by the ass of Gene Kelly, Going My Way is anchored by the voice of one Bing Crosby.
Yeah. Obviously, of course, we know that Going My Way won Best Picture. We've been talking about it for 1,000 minutes.
We wouldn't be here otherwise.
But would you like to hear the other nominees for Best Picture in the year 1945?
Enlighten me.
There's only 5 nominees. Thank Christ.
Thank you, Christ.
Obviously, Going My Way wins Best Picture. But another nominee for this year
Yeah.
is a Billy Wilder joint.
Willie.
Billy. A movie I really need to see. I think it's streaming on the Criterion Channel for anybody who wants to see it. I actually just read the book recently. It is, chill out. It is
Just saying.
adaptation of James M. Cain's pretty famous noir story, Double Indemnity.
Who?
Why aren't you applauding that today?
None of what you said resonates with me. I don't understand.
It's about a rich woman and a calculating insurance agent who plot to kill her unsuspecting husband after he signs a double indemnity policy.
Okay. All right. I'm intrigued.
Next up. Oh, this is cool that this is nominated. It is George Cukor. We can never get away from him.
Classic guy.
His, I think, pretty, at this point, famous movie, Gaslight.
Oh, interesting.
And it's about a newlywed who fears she's going mad when strange things start happening at the family mansion. I think it's about the man she marries is like mentally fucking with her in all.
Oh, so this really is the origin of the word gaslighting.
Yeah.
How fun.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
That's a fun bit of trivia. I give it points for just being a fun little trivia tidbit.
Yeah, pull that out when you're
Yeah.
out on the town. Just pull that out with like a lass in the bar.
Yeah.
She's gonna be like, "Oh my god, woke king, give me a little kiss. You have my consent."
She will say this. Guaranteed.
Yeah, so I gotta see. This is a good year so far.
2 movies we haven't seen, but it's a great year.
So next up we have Since You've Been Gone.
Oh. I couldn't leave for another bite.
No, it's John Cromwell's Since You Went Away.
Oh, so not even that close.
Kind of close. In 1943, several people enter, re-enter, and exit the difficult life of a Midwestern family whose patriarch has been called up to war, leaving behind his wife and 2 teen daughters.
Okay. But what else? That's it?
Yeah, it is almost 3 hours long.
Critics say,
Meh. And finally, we have another Henry King joint. He's come up before, I know.
what's he done?
Love is a Many Splendored Thing. He directed 12 O'Clock High, which I think came up maybe a couple episodes ago. Oh, he directed State Fair. I don't know if you remember that. I think that was in the Cavalcade episode.
God, that has to be an awful movie, right?
Yeah, and this is probably no exception. It is Wilson!
The Castaway prequel.
About the political career of Woodrow Wilson,
Oh.
beginning with his decision to leave his post at Princeton to run for governor of New Jersey, the swampiest state, and his subsequent ascent to the presidency of the United States. During his terms in office, Wilson must deal with the death of his first wife, Rip, the onslaught of German hostilities
Respectful.
leading to American involvement in the Great War, and his own country's reticence to join the League of Nations. It's 2.5 hours.
Done.
Probably boring.
Yeah, probably sucks doo-doo.
Was Woodrow Wilson a good president? What do we think? I don't really know anything about him. I know the name.
Probably committed various crimes, war crimes. I think Woodrow Wilson was still probably like fine.
I feel like in my head he's like neutral.
Yeah.
Watch, we're gonna look it up. He's like, oh, he actually. What is he?
signed
The
World
most
War I.
racist bill, and it's like, oh, that's great. It's good that we're on camera and microphones saying he's probably fine.
He's probably the man.
Yeah,
I think he was president during World War I, wasn't he? Doesn't even matter.
Say you are barking up the wrong tree, my friend. Yes, those are the nominees. Andrew, do you think Going My Way is Best Picture worthy?
I think so. I enjoyed it. And I haven't seen the other Best Picture nominees, but Double Indemnity sounds good. Maybe that could be a competitor, but for now I'll say yes.
I think I agree, because again, once we set the sort of criteria in stone a little bit ago about like movies for the time, this movie came out in 44, but the Oscars were in 45. I don't know exactly when World War II ended. I think maybe the summer of 45 or something like that, but it feels like a movie for a nation at war. Like, here's some nice shit, because we don't know if the Nazis are gonna win,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe 1940. No, yeah. For sure. Things were a little hairy.
Yeah.
That's all well and good, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean shit, I'm afraid. Our opinions don't matter. We know this.
Yeah, we've established this a lot.
What matters is the opinions of the people of the internet. Would you like to hear some reviews that I've sourced from some folks out there watching this movie in the year of our Lord 2024, soon to be 2025 for some reason?
For some reason.
Oh, well, I meant watch. Sorry. For some reason describes people watching it, not for some reason it's going to be 2025. We know the reason why. It's
Like that happens every year.
Yeah, we've gone around the sun.
Yeah, I would love to hear what the people have to say about Going My Way.
Okay, great. Could you I want to preserve these people's anonymity. So could you just give me the name of somebody who's just really excited for their family get together?
It has to be Bosley Copperbottom.
Bosley P. Copperbottom says 3.5 stars. Going my way is like hugging my dad. You love the hug, you love the love, but then it goes on way too long and you wonder why it's still going. You're happy it happened, but then it just feels weird and somehow alfalfa's involved. This next one, these next two actually are pretty concise.
Okay.
And this one's a little bit crass, so content warning. But give me the name of somebody who's a little bit crass.
So let's say it's Tony Lasagna, who's a little crass.
He would say this. Tony Lasagna says 3 stars. Pussy so bad he joined Catholicism.
I can't believe you stooped so low and read that review on this
Tony
show.
said it, not me.
Jesus.
I assume they're referring to Father O'Malley, our protagonist hero.
I guess so, yeah.
And Genevieve. I guess that's
Can't believe you said that.
well, I didn't say it.
Live on the air.
I didn't say it. Last review, also a short one. Give me the name of a wannabe rapper.
It's got to be my favorite rapper name in a movie that I can think of. It is Aaron Pierre as mid-sized sedan in
It is a
M. Night
really good
Shyamalan's
rap name.
Old.
Do
A
think
great
that's
film.
I think that's probably the best thing to come out of that movie. That movie is
that's
fine,
Maybe the 10th best thing to come out of that movie.
but mid-sized sedan is undoubtedly a top 10 rap name.
Yeah, it rules.
Close to this, I couldn't find any good puns on the movie title, but mid-sized sedan says 5 stars. Notorious B.I.N.G.
Thanks for that. That was a fun little time in my tummy.
Okay, very good.
Next week, I think I'm gonna go with the 2000 and I think 9 Best Picture winner, Slumdog Millionaire.
Ooh,
Danny Boyle's kind of like huge, weirdly huge movie.
Okay, I've never seen it.
I remember it being good.
Okay, stay tuned for that.
Until next time, I want you to write a song about your favorite hot dog. Could be any kind of hot dog. It doesn't even have to be a hot dog. Any kind of like, wiener shaped food. Could be even a churro. A churro is kind of wiener shaped.
Banana.
Banana, cucumber, bratwurst,
That is a wiener.
Italian sausage.
Also a wiener.
And I want you to write a song about it, and I want you to pitch it to Columbia Records
Okay.
and see if you can make some money to save your local church.
Till next time.
Happy New Year's, fuckers. Sorry, Happy New Year's, wieners.
Nice. Good save.
1, 2, 3, 4. These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that bops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar wieners. Oscar wieners. Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners.
Honey, your vows were so beautiful. I'm just so glad that we could spend this time together. Our wedding day is perfect. Yeah, it was nice and all. I just couldn't stop thinking about my dick.